Hello, Year 9. Please go to page 30 on your booklet. We're going to do 4H today. So we're going to skip 4G first, and then when I come back, I'm going to go through 4G with you guys. Today we're going to do 4H, which is an easier one. All right, so 4H is about midpoint and the length of a line segment. Okay, so the first one, let's have a look at the key ideas. First one, the midpoint. All right, so when they talk about the midpoint, which means that if they on the graph, if they give you 2 points, let's say this one, 1, 5, and another point, 4, 2. And if they ask you, okay, so what is the midpoint between them? Which means that we're going to connect them together, and then we're going to find the middle point, okay? So this is the coordinates they're asking for. All right, so this one is very easy. All you need to do is to remember a formula. So you can write this one down later. Okay, so same thing for these 2 points, we have x1, y1, x2, y2. So we already learned this before. That one is our x1, y1, that will be our x2, y2. Okay, so again, doesn't really matter which one is x1, y1. The other one will be x2, y2. All right, so all you need to do is to substitute into the formula. So first one, that is our x coordinate of the midpoint, okay? And then the second one here, that is our y coordinate of the midpoint. All right, so let's have a look at the example here. All right, so let's say that is x1, x2, y1, and y2. So the x coordinate equals to x1 plus x2 divided by 2, which means that we have 1 plus 4, okay? 1 plus 4 divided by 2. Again, use your calculator to do it, okay? So the x coordinate here is 2.5. All right, so the midpoints, x coordinate 2.5. Second one, very similar. Second one, we're going to do y1 plus y2 divided by 2, okay? y1 plus y2 divided by 2 equals to 3.5. So that is the y coordinate. Okay, that is the final answer. That's the midpoint, okay? Very straightforward. As long as you can remember this formula, it's really easy. Just need to substitute into the corresponding letter, okay? All right, so this is the midpoint between two endpoints, okay? All right, so another one, that is the length, okay? So length, again, I give you 2 points here. So -1, 5, and then -3, 2. So now I'm going to connect them together, and then I ask you, all right, what is the length, okay? What is the distance between these 2 points? Same thing, we're going to use a formula, okay? So just ignore that one, okay? This one we're using a Pythagoras theorem. If you want to know some extension knowledge, then you can try to understand this one, okay? But if you think that is too complicated for you, just remember the formula, okay? All right, so you can write down the formula later. I will put this one on Google Classroom. The distance equals to, all right, we have a big square root, bracket, and then we have y2 minus y1 to the power of 2, okay? Plus x2 minus x1 to the power of 2, all right? All right, so these two, okay, these two, x1, y1, x2, that one and that one, doesn't matter what is the order, okay? You can put this one in the front. It's the same thing. So we can have square root x2 minus x1 to the power of 2 plus y2 minus y1 to the power of 2. It's the same thing, okay? It's the same thing. All right. You can put this in your note, in your booklet, I mean. All right, so let's have a look at the example. All right, finding a midpoint. Find the midpoint M, X, Y of the line segment joining these pairs of points. All right, first one, we have 1, 0 and 4, 4. All right, so find the midpoint. We're going to use the first example, okay? We're going to use the, first formula, okay? We're going to use this one. All right, I write down the formula for you guys. Midpoint equals to bracket x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. All right, very similar to the last few chapters. We go exercise, we're going to label it first, okay? So that is x1, y1, x2, y2, okay? All right, so now we're going to substitute x1 plus x2, which is 1 plus 4, divided by 2, okay? So I highlight for you, x1 plus x2, comma, y1 plus y2, 0 plus 4, divided by 2. All right, now we're going to put this one into the calculator and this one into the calculator, okay? So put the whole thing into your calculator separately. So if you put the first one into your calculator, 1 plus 4 on over 2, you get 5 over 2, okay? Or you can get 2.5, doesn't matter. So I put it as a fraction, 5 on 2. And then the second one, 0 plus 4 divided by 2, which is 2. All right, finish. This is the midpoint, okay? All right, I'll show you another one. Second one, m equals to bracket x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Same thing, we label it first, okay? x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, x1 now equals to negative 3 plus x2, which is positive 5 divided by 2. And then y1, negative 2 plus 3 divided by 2. Okay, so first one, negative 3 plus 5 on 2. Put it into your calculator. That will be 1. And then the second one, negative 2 plus 3 divided by 2, which is 1 over 2. Okay, 1 on 2. All right, finish. Okay, so you can do the now you try later. Okay, I'll go through example 16 with you guys first. All right, example 16. Find the length of the segment joining negative 2, 2 and 4, negative 1. Correct to 2 decimal places. All right, when you see the length, which means that we're going to use the second formula. So write down here first. Distance equals to square root of bracket x2 minus x1 to the power of 2 plus y2 minus y1 to the power of 2, okay? All right, so these two formula are very similar, okay? Because both of them has x1, y1, x2, y2. But you can see that one of them is an addition, okay? We add them together. But another one, the second one here, is we take away, okay? We take away. And also when you do that, you can't do x2 minus x1 to the power of 2 plus y1 minus y2, okay? So the x2 must be in the front, okay? Must be in the front. So that one is wrong, okay? Wrong. All right. So let's substitute the number, okay? So before we substitute the number, we're going to label it. x1, y1, x2, y2, okay? All right, so now we can substitute into the formula square root of bracket 4. So 4 minus x1. So x1 is negative 2 here, which means that we have another negative, okay, to the power of 2, plus y2, which is negative 1, minus y1 to the power of 2. All right, don't worry about this one, okay? Put it into the calculator. We put the whole thing into the calculator, okay? All right, so I do it by hand, but in test, you don't need to do it by hand. Just use a calculator. 4 plus 2 is 6. So 6 to the power of 2 plus negative 3 to the power of 2, which is 36 plus 9, okay? And which is square root of 45, okay? Square root of 45. All right. The distance between these 2 points will be square root of 45, okay? All right, so they ask you to cut to 2 decimal places, okay? Which means that we can't give them square root, okay? We need to write it as a decimal, okay? We need to write it as a decimal. All right, so if you have a square root of 45 on your calculator, that means you need to make it as a decimal, okay? Make it as decimal. All right, so I'll do it on my calculator. So square root of 45, that's equals to 6.71, okay? 6.71. All right, finish. Okay, so you can do the now try here as well. And that's everything for today. So we learned the midpoint and also the distance between 2 points, okay? So they will give you something like that, okay? Something like that. So midpoint, find the midpoint between them. So you do x1, y1, x2, y2, and then just substitute into the formula I gave you, okay? And then the final answer give me a coordinate. All right, same thing as the length, okay? Same thing as the length, x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so you need to notice the first one. When you see the midpoint, the final answer will be a coordinate, okay? But if you have the length, then the final answer will be only a number, okay? A number, not the coordinate. All right, so now you can do now you try, and then copy out the notes, and then finish exercise for H, okay?